Hello, busy dads and busy people everywhere. If you're new here, welcome. This is the channel all about the Busy Dad program. The Busy Dad program is a simple, effective, and profoundly enjoyable training protocol that I've been following for the past 18 months since my daughter was born. It's gotten me into the best shape of my life. And the crazy part, the thing that nobody believes when I tell them, is that the whole program only requires a weekly buy-in of just 80 minutes. If you can afford 80 minutes from within your week, and if you can pledge to fill those minutes with intentional physical training according to my protocols, then I promise, my friends, you will see amazing results just as I have done. Now, as I've emphasized in the past, the Busy Dad program is purely a training protocol, and I make no prescriptions at all about the dietary program that you should follow when you engage with my approach to training. However, many of you have asked me to share my own approach to nutrition, and I'm very happy to do that, provided that you understand that I'm making no prescriptions, merely sharing perspectives, tips and tricks that I've picked up in my own nutritional journey. In the previous 3 weeks videos, we've talked about intermittent fasting, we've talked about calorie counting, and we've talked about strategic caffeine consumption. So far, I've not said a word about what calories I consume. I've only said something about how many calories I consume and when I consume them. But in today's video, I want to start talking about the principles that I use when I'm deciding what kinds of calories I should be putting into my body. And for me, a massive game changer in my entire approach to nutrition has been learning about gut health. There are 39 trillion little organisms living in all of our guts. Together, these little organisms, we're talking about bacteria and viruses and other kinds of organisms, make up what is called the gut microbiome. And one of the things that happens in the gut microbiome, one of the things that these organisms are in charge of doing, is breaking down the food that we put into our bodies. Now, if your gut microbiome is in good shape, if the healthy gut bacteria are strong and thriving and dominating the unhealthy gut bacteria and viruses, then your body will be very good at breaking down and using the food that you put into it. But if your gut is in bad shape, if your microbiome is in a state of what's called dysbiosis, your gut will be very bad at processing, breaking down and using the food that you put into your body, with the result that most of the food that you put in will be merely stored as fat. So what that means is there is a direct correlation between gut health and metabolic health. It just doesn't matter what you're putting into your body. If your gut is in bad shape, you will not make effective use of whatever you're putting into your body. There's an amazing experiment that confirms this. It's very easy in a lab to do the following. You give 2 mice exactly the same diet. One of those mice is obese, one of them is normal. What happens? The obese mouse keeps getting fatter. When it eats that diet, the normal mouse, there's no change in its body composition. Why is that? The answer is that the obese mouse has a dysfunctional gut, whereas the normal mouse has a well-functioning gut. How do we know this? Because we can transplant the gut microbiome of the obese mouse into the microbiome or into the gut of the normal mouse. And what happens after that transplant is that the normal mouse starts getting fat too. And what that shows is that the reason that in the first place the normal mouse wasn't getting fat was that it had a well-functioning gut microbiome that was doing a good job of breaking down and using the food that was going into its body. So before we start worrying about how many calories or what kinds of macros should we be getting, we've got to ask what steps can we take to make sure that our gut microbiome is functional. Because if it's not, if we don't have metabolic health, there is no way that we're going to get into good shape whatever we put into our body. So that for me is my first principle. Now, it turns out that there are dietary choices that we can make that have a radical, profoundly beneficial effect on gut health. I strongly recommend all of you to check out the work of Dr. Will Bolsevich. I'm going to link to his Instagram channel and his website. I read a book of his called Fiber Fueled that has completely changed my approach. And after reading that book, my main priority when I'm circling my calories is to eat foods that are fiber rich. So for me, that means that I place a massive priority on eating whole foods, on eating fruits, on eating vegetables, and eating complex carbohydrates like whole grains, so brown rice, quinoa, good quality whole wheat bread, as well as legumes, lentils, garbanzo beans, black beans, and so on. This isn't about going vegan, I'm not a vegan myself, but it is about prioritizing the kinds of foods that are prebiotic and promote a good, strong, healthy gut. And I've found that the change has been unbelievable since I started prioritizing getting as many green vegetables, as many fruits, and as many complex carbohydrates into my diet as I can. So I am not a person who advocates a low carb diet, a high protein diet. I am a person who eats a hell of a lot of fruit, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes on any given day. I try and make sure that all three of those things are in every single meal that I eat in a given day. And I also follow, on a Monday to Friday basis at least, what I found to be a very easy training protocol, which is called dietary protocol, which is called vegan until 6. So the idea is I don't consume any animal products throughout the day. Until 6 p.m, my real focus is on getting as many of those legumes, whole grains, fruits, vegetables into my diet. Okay, after 6, I might relax that requirement. Some nights I'll eat some fish, some nights I'll eat some meat. Okay, but until 6, throughout the day, I'm cutting animal products and I'm putting a massive emphasis on fiber-rich foods that are going to help me maintain strong gut health. And with strong gut health comes strong metabolic health. Okay, I've seen so many people in my life who eat what seems like a relatively healthy diet and just get fatter and fatter. And then there are other people like my younger brother who are just in incredible shape year round, and they seem to eat huge amounts of food. Okay, and what I've discovered is that whether or not you can do that depends on the state of your gut. So forget how many macros are you eating, how much protein, how much carbohydrate, and think, how can I make dietary choices that promote strong gut health? Because without strong gut health, there is no strong metabolic health. And until you have metabolic health, whatever you put into your body, you're not going to be able to use it efficiently, and so you are not going to get into good shape. So my main dietary principle these days is focus on the gut. All right, my friends, next week I'm going to talk about the difference, very important difference, between caloric density and nutrient density. I look forward to speaking to you all then. Take care.